show. I am William Tyler. Appreciate all the support. If you're looking for more content from Sporty Media, head on over to our YouTube page. You can find us on TikTok, and you can find us on our very own website, www.sportymedia.blog. Just look no further than the text scrolling across the bottom of your screen if you're looking for more stuff from Sporty Media. Today, what I'll be getting into is the UFC Featherweight division. You know, we started off 2025. Ilia Topuria had that strap securely around his waist, if you asked me. He looked like a little bit of an unstoppable force in that division, and he was one of those champions that started to garner a lot of those questions that champions do. Who's next for this guy? He's running through the division. We've seen champs do this in the past, and as soon as Topuria popped onto the scene and got that strap, he started working guys, and it looked pretty quick like he was going to run out of opponents. But right quick after 2025 got started in February, he walks away from that division, leaves the featherweight division, leaves the featherweight title vacant, and Dana White and the UFC wasted no time. They announced Volkanovski and Diego Lopez 2 for the strap at UFC 314. Is that 2? No, this is their first fight. Volkanovski, Diego Lopez 1 at UFC 314 for the strap. And honestly, I loved this matchup when I saw it. It was a classic, veteran that's trying to get back to what he once was, and he's facing that young lion, that up-and-coming dog that, at times looks unstoppable. And I think that in fighting, maybe more than in any other sport, that momentum that you see guys get sometimes just seems to be unstoppable, and that's the way I felt with Diego Lopez. So at UFC 314, I incorrectly picked Diego to win that fight. I really thought that the momentum that he had going was just going to be too much for Volk to stop. I thought that the hill that he needed to climb to get back to what he once was probably too steep, too tall, too much for Alexander the Great Volkanovski. And I was wrong. Because this dude showed up to UFC 314 and put on one of the better performances of his entire career. And I weigh in the fact that this is probably one of the best versions of Diego Lopez that we've ever seen as well. And so when you take that into account, and you take the way that he was able to absolutely stifle Diego Lopez's attacks. Diego Lopez had no offense through the first 3 rounds. He just really couldn't get in a rhythm. He landed some shots here and there, but just did virtually no real damage. Volkanovski was fighting himself in there. He was, worried about getting tired more than anything in the first couple of rounds, the first 3 rounds. There wasn't much that Diego Lopez was doing that was concerning Volkanovski. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. He goes on to regain the title, and rightfully so. Put on a fantastic performance. Like I said, looked as good as he ever has in his career. And it didn't take me but a minute to walk. I watched that UFC 314. I went and watched it at the movie theater. And I'm walking out of the theater, and as I'm walking back to my car, I'm just going, man, who do they give this guy next? Who can Volk go up against next? Who's that guy? And I think there's a couple of, of kind of obvious, immediate picks. The first name that popped into my head was Max Holloway. The featherweight GOAT. He's the other kind of giant in that division right now as far as name and status and legacy and all that kind of stuff go. All of that goes under the pro column when you look at possibly giving Max Holloway a title shot against Alexander Volkanovski sometime later this year. Former champ. He's definitely one of the top contenders, if not the best contender in that division that doesn't currently hold the title. He may be the best featherweight that they have to face Volkanovski. But in that con column, if you got the pros over here, you got the cons over here. And in that con column, you got to go back and you got to look at the history between these two guys. Max is 0 for 3 against Alexander Volkanovski. Go back and check it. I know you're like, well, no way. Nah, you missed it. It's maybe 2. No way. Is it 3? Yeah, it's 3. He beat him 3 times. And to be completely honest, like, I think that this war is settled. You know, it doesn't matter if Volk lost this one and Max won. Okay, you sort of won a battle there at the end, but the war has already been figured out amongst these two guys. I don't think we need this one again. On top of that, which I think is enough to overlook this fight, but on top of that, Max has already got other things kind of in line. Not that there's that there's much larger than a shot at the featherweight title, but I think Max is, his name is always swirling around the BMF title fights. Those are out there. He may go up a division. Who knows what is next for Max Holloway, but I don't think he's probably the right guy to put in the ring with Volkanovski next. Now, also at UFC 314, it's worth mentioning the other fantastic performance that we saw on that card from Yair Rodriguez. I don't think that he left anything on the table. He showed his skills. He didn't get a finish, right? So I guess this went to a decision. Maybe he finds a way to get a decision. I could be wrong. I need to go check that. But I think that he gave himself the best possible chance at getting a title shot next. But I still don't think he's probably the guy. Again, let's go with our pros and our cons here. I love the aesthetic of a fight where you have Volkanovski's this veteran pro who's defending the title, and Yair comes in again representing what Diego Lopez did also, this young up-and-coming guy with a lot of momentum who just seems unstoppable. They mirror each other in a lot of ways. So for all the reasons that I liked the Diego Lopez fight, I liked the Yair Rodriguez fight. Now in that con column, I would like maybe him to have one more fight. And that's coming from if I was in his corner's perspective. I think he might need one more guy to get ready. And mainly because of his opponent. So he faced Patricio Pitbull. This was Pitbull's first fight in the UFC, coming over from PFL the PFL/Bellator. I'm not sure if they ever gave Pitbull a fight after they acquired Bellator or if he only fought under the Bellator flag. But neither here nor there. That's the land that he came from. His first opponent in the UFC was, I believe, the 4th ranked featherweight in the division, Yair Rodriguez, and he got worked on pretty good. Now, let me go back to why I believe that's a con. That fight could be a little deceiving, I believe, if you're Yair Rodriguez. If you go out there and you put on your best performance and everything works, I think it's hard not to believe in yourself and believe that I am the next guy. I should be the next title contender in this division. But I don't know if everything's going to work like it did against Patricio Pitbull whenever you're in there against Alexander Volkanovski. And I think that if you faced one more guy before you faced whoever has the title at that point, but let's just say before you faced Volkanovski, I think that gives you a lot better shot at winning that championship fight once you make it there. That's just my personal opinion. Now, another con you could get into is that this could be the same as before. They have fought. Yair is 0-1. Not to say that these fighters haven't evolved and gotten much better, but they haven't changed their games completely. They've fine-tuned their weapons, and they've certainly gotten better and improved with time, but I think it was only a couple years ago that these two fought. I think you'd see them kind of go back to the well on what worked for them in the previous matchup, or that's what Volk would be doing. Yair would certainly be looking for the opportunities that worked and, expand on or improve on some things rather that didn't work. But I think it's likely you get the same fight as you did before. Now, if it's not Max, if it's not Yair, who the heck could it be? I think there's one more guy, Movsar Evloev. That's about as close as we're probably going to get. But I think that Evloev is the right guy to face Alexander Volkanovski next for the featherweight title. And for some obvious reasons, if you ask me. He's undefeated, and not undefeated, it's not he's 8-0. It's not, this guy's been in the UFC. He's 6-0, 7-0 in the UFC. This guy has won 19 fights. He's 19-0. He's beat a lot of other guys. Now, he's not doing it in impressive fashion. He's not surprising anybody. He's going in there and he is wrestling you. He is getting dominant positions. He is finding a way to inflict damage with sticky wrestling and punishing ground and pound. This guy is nasty on the ground, and so far, 19 guys in a row haven't had an answer for him. I think that he's earned it. It's that simple. He absolutely should be the next guy in line for that title. Now, okay, we're going back pros and cons here. The cons are, I understand he's not the biggest name in that division. He's obviously not as big a name as Max Holloway. He's not as big a name even as Yair Rodriguez. But my argument there would probably be he's probably not as big a name yet. He certainly is going to be in this division in the UFC for a long time. I think it is extremely likely for him to find his way to the title eventually and build his own legacy. And if Volkanovski can say that he beat a young Movsar Evloev on his way up, I think that's a huge feather in his cap, especially to say that he did it on his way out at the end of his career. I think that this is a win that could only grow in legacy if you're looking at it from Volkanovski's perspective. Being that it is a little bit of a lower, less prominent name, a less prominent opponent. But I just can't say it enough. He's won 19 in a row. He's the best guy in this division outside of the guy that has the title. He should be the next guy in line. It's a huge win for either one of these guys. I think if Volkanovski wins, I think, like I said, that win is huge in its own right, and then grows as time goes on, and he has a chance to cement his own legacy after this fight. And if Movsar can find a way to win this one and get the strap now, then he gets to say he took it from one of the best guys to ever fight in the featherweight division, the best guys to ever hold a strap, and he gets to start his reign now. And I don't know who in the world is going to take it from this guy once he gets it, because just like he holds on to his opponents, once he gets this belt, he is going to hold on to it extremely tightly. So that's where I think they need to go with the featherweight division. Now, who knows where they actually go? They have found ways to surprise us in the past, and maybe they do in the future. I think whatever happens needs to happen fast. If you're Volkanovski, he's said before that he doesn't like to lay out. So let's get this guy back in there. Let's get him an opponent. Maybe it's Movsar Evloev. I really hope it is. Maybe it's Yair Rodriguez. Sign me up. I'd watch that fight. And I don't care who Max Holloway fights next. I'm watching that fight. If it's Alexander Volkanovski, I'd be very excited. But let's see what happens. Follow back in. As soon as we get more updates on the UFC featherweight division, we'll be right back here at Sporting Media to keep you updated. Thanks.